How's it going, folks? Stu here. I'm in a park in London. It's London Film Festival time, which means I'm trying to utilise as much time as possible to get reviews in the little nooks and crannies of time. So we're in a park doing today's review. You'll have to forgive me for any wind or city noises. I can't stop those because I'm not Jesus Christ himself. I don't have that power. But today we're talking about the new Hirokazu Kore-eda film, Monster, which is one I've been incredibly excited to check out ever since it was announced at festivals this season. Big fan of his previous work, but only time would tell whether this was terrible or his monster piece. Thank you. It took me way too long to come up with that one. So Monster is the latest one from Kore-eda, a Korean filmmaker who you may have known from previous hits such as Broker, literally came out this year in the UK cinemas, very recent. But before that he did Shoplifters. Great director, he's done other stuff as well, I'm still going to list them all. And Monster sees him continuing a similar vibe he's gone for, which is just taking peculiar stories and really pulling out lots of great meaty emotional drama from them. This one is about a mother and a son who's going through some tricky stuff at school, is all I'm going to say about it. I don't want to spoil this one because it's definitely a film which unravels itself really satisfyingly throughout. It's a film that has multiple different kind of perspective shifting acts in there. I suppose it's a 3-act film, which is best experienced as blindly as possible, I think, because what Kore-eda's done here with Monster is deliver a interestingly sort of evolving dramatic piece. It is a film that starts one way and then very quickly, or I should say gradually actually, I don't know why I said quickly, evolves into an entirely different film. One of those films you end and you think, I didn't think we were going to end up here 2 hours ago, and yet here we are. And I'm a big fan of films like that, especially ones that can do it so fluidly, I suppose. So it feels like a nice surprise when you get to the reveals of the film. And on the whole, Kore-eda's efforts here don't feel particularly showy as they might do once you hear that sort of premise put on paper. Although he does use a slightly different structuring device here than other films in that it's a film which kind of resets its perspective, as I said, multiple times throughout the film. So you'll see it from one character's way, you might see it from another character's way, and then finally you'll see it from a different character's way. And all of those perspectives do make a much more kind of rich whole when you get to the end of it. But I will say that I think more so than his previous works I've seen, this one does feel like it somewhat falls back on its structural devices as a little bit of a crutch, and they don't always feel as immediately satisfying as I think they should do. I'm a big sucker for films that show us the same thing from different perspectives. I think it is a good device when used properly, and he does use it very, very well here and very, very effectively for the emotional drama of the film. But sometimes it does have a little bit of a tendency to feel like it's doing it for the sake of doing it, at least in the immediate, before it kind of reveals the things it needs to reveal. So it's a difficult one. But luckily the film is centered by some great performances on the one hand, from everyone in it. That's something that definitely makes the whole kind of here's another character's perspective thing a little bit more resonant, because these characters are lived in so well by the performers. And two of those performers are young child actors. And I'm always saying, if a film comes along with good child performances, that it's worth shouting about. It's good. It's definitely the case that some of these films can sometimes be let down by child performances that aren't quite where they need to be. But the kids in this film absolutely smash it. They deliver a lot of the groundwork and I suppose the mystery and intrigue around the emotional characters in the film. The sun has just come out between the trees in the worst spot, so I'm getting blinded for a second, but we'll continue anyway. But the child actors also end up carrying a lot of this film, particularly when you get to the final act of it. They do a lot of heavy lifting there in a way which was a nice surprise, again, because of the way the film reveals itself and reveals what it's truly going for as it gets to its end. But they smashed it, man. Very, very good stuff. The final act has some of the strongest moments of the film, where we are just seeing these two children together, their characters' sort of relationship evolving. It's great. It's really great stuff, and I think that's where a lot of the emotional impact of the film does come. But on the subject of emotional impact, we've got to talk about the score here, which is the last one from Ryuichi Sakamoto, who is sadly no longer with us. I don't think I need to say a huge amount about him and his musical abilities at this point, but his score is fantastic. It's very kind of subtle and quietly placed in the film, but when it does kick in, it works. It's there for the right reasons, and it just sounds deliciously emotional, is how I'd put it. I really, really liked his work in this one. I think it complemented the stuff that's going on in the film very, very well. I suppose like the film that Kore-eda's made here, it's a score which sort of kind of has this air of mystery and intrigue around it. It doesn't give a huge amount away, but at the same time, it's got a lot of emotional resonance underneath it. I think broadly, that's my favorite thing about Monster, and it's a thing that I've sort of been mulling on ever since I saw it. And that is the way that it's able to sort of present as one thing and sort of hint certain different things and then eventually sort of pull the rug out and let you in on what it is actually about. When that's not done well, it's really frustrating. And although, you know, I don't think this is my favorite Kore-eda film, it definitely is done very effectively, and it definitely is done in a way which feels like it's putting its issues and it seems it's tackling at the forefront in a way which doesn't feel exploitative or manipulative. And I think more than that, it's a film which is going to sit in my mind for a while, which is always great. It's what I love to get in films, obviously. But what about you guys? Have you seen Monster? Did you catch it at the film festival this year? Have you seen it wherever it's been showing elsewhere in the world? I believe it's showing at a bunch of different festivals. So if you have seen it, let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see me talk about more shit, go ahead and click subscribe. The button is down there. This feels incredibly strange doing it in a park. What's going on? The button is down there to subscribe, as well as links to my socials, my Twitter, my Letterboxd, you name it. It's all there if you want to follow me, so go ahead and clicky. I will see you guys very soon for some more thoughts on more films, but until next time, I need to get myself out of this park. I immediately feel very aware and self-conscious of myself.